The Betrayed.
Welcome back to The Betrayed. I'm Gina Beck.
This is Drew Williams.
Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing. We appreciate y'all, especially the reviews on Apple Podcasts. It really means a lot.
Yeah, and like always, thank you again for the continued engagement, the continued support, and that hashtag Banana Cats.
How are you, Drew?
I'm alright, G. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Just living.
We took a week off. I had some health issues to deal with, but I worked through an episode and ended up in the hospital. So sorry, you guys, we didn't have an episode last week, but we're back. We've got some interesting articles to talk about.
Welcome back. Welcome back. First thing I want to talk about, there's a grave concern over missing remains. An 1882 tombstone was unearthed. That is an old tombstone. Like, it's so old. A local woman is asking where her relatives' remains are after a tombstone was unearthed, but no corpse with it. Rose Hill Cemetery says they've done all they can. This disturbed grave has disturbed Lisa Hale Gallagher ever since. Quoted by Miss Gallagher. It's pretty much like burying my father all over again, she says. For 13 years, she has been questioning if her father was buried in another relative's grave, even. Rose Hill Cemetery operator Dawn Rutherford said even the Louisiana State Cemetery Board has heard her complaints concerning her father's burial in 2008 and what was found in his final resting place. Rutherford admitted the cemetery was aware that a headstone had been dug up where her father was buried. They checked the contractors for any remains or anything, and there was nothing located at the point in time. That worn tombstone appears to be read William Walter Sorrells, a family name within the Hale family, and Gallagher said they kept extensive records of who they've buried. She laminated it to have your own relatives dug up, and then they place my father in a grave. I don't even know what they did with my great-grandfather's remains. The news questioned Dawn Rutherford over the phone, asking, "You don't think that her grandfather was buried there?" Rutherford replied, "We have no records of it. I'm not saying he wasn't. There was no remains found at that spot. I'll put it that way." So would there be remains to find after 126 years of decomposition? News 10 reached out. Her name's Jay Lynn. And she's an anthropologist, a forensic, she reached out to a forensic anthropologist with the University of Louisiana at Lafayette for her expert opinion. And you wouldn't expect it to fully disappear after 126 years, the professor said. There should definitely be some evidence that firstly, the earth was moved to enter a person. There should be the potential for the recovery of accoutrements associated with mortuary. So in the casket, interned with the body, the clothes they were wearing, such as buttons, things like that. So 126 years sounds like a long time to us, but from their perspective, it's really not. So it's possible the tombstone could have been moved. And I imagine just going to go visit your relatives and then finding that out.
I mean, grave robbing is that's an old practice, and they just found the mistake with her dad. Who knows how many, like they said, like how many rest of their family members have been moved around or robbed, because there's weird black market stuff for like human bones and stuff like that. And then there's, even the band, they got arrested in Louisiana, actually. The punk band, the Misfits? They were arrested in the mid 80s for grave robbing in Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were stealing bones out of old cemeteries. So it sounds not good. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's not uncommon. It's far more
What did they steal it for, though? What did they steal the bones for?
because they're the misfits, and they just that whole mystique of them being kind of weird, dark. They're the misfits. I don't know. They got arrested for it, and I think they actually jumped bail to go play a show. I think that's the whole story around it. They actually said screw staying around Louisiana for this. They just went on to their next show and dealt with it later on.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's sad to think that because those cemeteries in that state those are like really beautiful. It's weird to say that, but like beautiful old cemeteries that got those huge mausoleums and all that. You would think someone would notice, I don't know, that many people in one family like getting moved around, or at least say something weird.
Yeah, so confusing, right? The article will be linked below if you want to read it for yourself. And if you have, any interesting stories like this and you want them to be told, leave us a link below or send us a message to our DM. The links are always below.
Absolutely, and we check them pretty regularly. The next story I want to talk about, if you guys haven't seen this video that's been going around, you can actually look on my Instagram. I think it's the second post. It has a big P word on it. I sent this to Gina. I wanted to discuss kind of just a bit more in depth with her on here. There was a professor, there still is, from Norfolk, Virginia, which is, I think, about an hour or two south of Washington, D.C., from Old Dominion University. And he had a book, or I should say, their pronouns are them and their. I don't know if it's a he or she. Dr. Alan Walker is assistant professor of sociology and criminal justice. And there was an interview around their book, A Long Dark History of Attracted People and Their Pursuit of Dignity. In this video, when you guys watch it, they're basically trying to normalize the P word with things we've talked about before. For people listening on YouTube, this is going to be bleeped out, but attracted people, we've talked about this many times. It's kind of the new PC term for a weirdo. But they were actually relieved from their job as of the 16th. The university put out a statement. Old Dominion University has placed Dr. Alan Walker on administrative leave, effective immediately, from their position as Assistant Professor of Sociology and Criminal Justice. Reactions to Dr. Walker's research and book have led to concerns for their safety and that of the campus. Furthermore, the controversy over Dr. Walker's research has disrupted the campus and community environment and is interfering with the institution's mission of teaching and learning. I want to state in the strongest terms possible that young people is morally wrong and has no place in our society, said ODU President Brian O. Hemphill, PhD. This is a challenging time for our university, but I am confident that we will come together and move forward as a monarch family. The actions we are taking today are motivated by our obligation to maintain a safe and conducive learning environment for our students, faculty, and staff. And I wanted to read, before we started talking, I wanted to read an excerpt from this doctor's book. And I'll have links to all the articles. You can actually see the excerpt that I'm reading right now. And I'm going to try and censor it as much as I can. But CP is what we're going to start with. We all know what CP means. And this is from the book. CP as a harm reduction technique has previously been theorized to be a potential strategy for MAPS to maintain abstinence from contact with people they shouldn't. There was a study from Taylor and Quayle in 2003, and it suggested that individuals who view CP may partially choose to do so as a form of therapy, as a way of controlling their interests, as a form of personal survival, or as a way of dealing with emotions such as anger that has no other outlet. Similarly, another study by three professors, Wallach, Fennekeler, and Mitchell, from 2008 have theorized that among some groups of predisposed individuals, easy access to a wide variety of engrossing and high-quality CP could serve as a substitute for involvement with actions with people they shouldn't. Yuck. 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 I don't even know what else to say after this. It's just, you guys got to go watch this video and this doctor talk.
I mean, I don't even know either. Like, why do people want to normalize things like this so bad?
I mean, me and you have been doing this for a few years now, and I've never got an answer to that question. But I do like the fact that there was pretty fast action on the school as far as getting rid of them. It seems like they've kind of wiped him off the website, or they off them off the website. I read some
Definitely.
there
Definitely.
was some early interviews before they relieved him of his job from some students. I'll say here it's that were they were never like quoted as their actual name. Oh, I take that back. Actually, her name is Jaylene Jackson. Honestly, it just sounds gross. Just because you're not acting on it, to acknowledge it is weird and it's not okay
Mm-hmm.
at all. It feels
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to know that someone like this is on campus. Another student, his name was Jonathan McMee. I don't think it reflects poorly on the school, but I do think it's weird that we have a professor that would think that. And there's just more and more comments that are like that. You can see the students were even just like, what?
Yeah, which is great that they are able to put their opinion out there the way that they are, and that their opinion is like-minded, right? To what like it should be, like to us and to other parents and families who don't want children to go through that. It's just it's great to see that they know what's up. You know what I mean? They know right from wrong, and they know that that guy should
Yeah,
not be working at a school.
it's just crazy that there's studies that go back all the way to 2003 defending it still, and they're able to quote them. I just
I mean, yeah, you're always going to find that handful. I would say handful. It's not even one. It's a handful of people who just like, what is even a word that I can get away with saying? Like, there's not even a word I can get away with saying that compares.
I mean,
It's
they're they're
disgusting.
they're just vampires. They suck the innocence out of people.
Definitely, and ruin people's lives forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes it like a vampire, it transfers over and they become vampires. It's a
Definitely.
it's
It's,
a
continuing the bad cycle. So if you're out there and if you are someone who thinks about children in negative ways, there's definitely help. And you're not alone. And there's people who will listen to you and who will be there for you and who will help you to try to be a better person before you hurt someone. Just don't hurt anybody if you think that way. There is help and therapy. And we can leave links below if you're too afraid to message and ask for the help.
yeah, we'll make sure I'll make a note right now to leave some links. We're not condoning that, but I mean, if someone's listening to this and they do have those, you need help. You're not right.
Or if you are listening to this and you have suspicion of someone or really physically know someone who has hurt a child and you have not spoken up either, or maybe you are the child, or who knows what the situation is, but I think all of us come across a CP in our life, whether it's you're being the one being groomed, or it's a friend, or if it's a grandpa or an uncle or an aunt, or who knows who it is, a mom's friend's friend, cousin, like, somewhere along the lines you hear about a CP in real life. And if you know someone in real life who needs this help, you can send them this also, or the links below also, because it doesn't just take, I think, one person. Like, it does take an army to get something complete. I feel like it takes the motivation. And if I'm not giving no sympathy to CP, but there's two ways to go about this, in my opinion, and it's either you do the work to get the help, or if you know what I mean. So if you don't want them to send them the links for some help.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
or I would like to say this. Maybe you're a child and you're listening to this 15, 16, 17, and you're being, instead of entertaining the conversation at all, I mean, if you just want to one up a weirdo, Send them the links for help, and then block them. You know what I mean? Like at some point, the children are going to be smart, very very smart when it comes to this, and they're going to do things like that.
I think so.
If it already doesn't happen, I feel like it already happens. You know, there's those teenagers out there who know what's up, and they get, and I bet you they play with them back, not in like a I'm gonna give you what you want way, but
The troll way.
a troll way, like I'm gonna get you caught and in trouble, or you know what I mean. So there's ways to go about it, negative and positive. So let's get rid of the weirdos in our life and make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to be doing, which is not sitting in a basement hurting kids.
Absolutely. Well said. I think we'll end it here today. Yeah?
Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for also subscribing to the Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That really means a lot.
And iHeart.
And iHeart, all of them. I know there's that little button. You can subscribe on all those little streaming platforms. We don't even know them all, but thank you guys. Appreciate you.
We do. We truly appreciate you, and we'll be back next week for another one.
Till next time, Banana Cats.
Banana Cats. Much love. Peace.